Hello and welcome. In the past tutorial, we saw a way of creating checkout sessions using Stripe and Firebase Cloud Functions. This time we're gonna learn how to handle the order creation by using webhooks. These are requests sent from one server to another when an event has happened. In this tutorial, you're gonna learn how to listen to the webhooks coming from Stripe using Firebase Cloud Functions. In this case, the event we're gonna be listening to is a checkout completed event, but there's many others, and we're gonna go through the object received from Stripe so that you can easily apply the same concept to any other event your application needs. For example, when a payment fails or succeeds, when a subscription has been updated, and many others. If any of this content is useful, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking this video for more content coming up. Now, without further ado, let's get started. I'm gonna be using the same project I used on my last video. I have a simple HTML file that contains a button that calls a Cloud Function. Then this Cloud Function returns a link to the Stripe checkout session where we can pay our product. If you want to see how I did this, I'm going to leave you a link to my last video on this topic in the description. Once we complete the checkout session, we're going to make it send a webhook to our server with all the information from this completed checkout session. Then we're going to save this information in our orders collection using Firestore. Remember, you can also always access this code in the corresponding repository in my GitHub organization. I'm gonna leave you the link to that in the description as well. Now I'm gonna go into my index.js file inside my functions folder, and I'm gonna add the Firebase admin SDK here because we're gonna use it in a second to store the order information in Firestore. Now, before creating the new function for the webhook, I'm going to modify the one we already have for the Stripe checkout session, and I'm going to add this shipping address collection parameter in the object so that Stripe will also ask for the address when paying. Now down here, I'm going to create this new Cloud function and call it Stripe webhook. This one, instead of being a callable function, it's going to be a regular HTTP function, just like if we were using express.js. In here, I'm going to initialize the Stripe SDK, and to do this, I'm just going to require the Stripe package and pass in the token we saved in the Firebase configuration variables. We did this in the last video, but it's pretty simple. You just type in Firebase functions config set and then stripe.token equals, and you paste in your Stripe secret key. Then I'm going to create an event variable to store the event object coming from the webhook. Now from the Firebase functions configuration, we're going to get a variable called stripe.payments webhook secret. We haven't set this one yet, but we're gonna set it in a second. We're just gonna store it in this constant called webhook secret. Now, in order to get the event object that contains all the webhook information, we need to verify that it is coming from Stripe. So we use the construct event function, and we pass in the raw body from the request, the headers, and we pass in the webhook secret. In case this fails, we're gonna catch it, log it, and we return a status 400, which means the function in this case stops here. Now, if this succeeds, then we're going to save the object information itself in a new constant called data object. At this point, it is going to be the same for any event webhook you're listening. You first authenticate, then you get the object, and from here you're going to handle differently depending on what event you're listening to, basically. In this case, we're going to use the admin SDK to create a new document in the collection orders, and we're going to set the checkout session ID, the payment status, the shipping information with the shipping address that we collected, and the amount total. Now we're going to head on to the Firebase console, click on Firestore, and create a new database. We're going to initialize it in production mode. Now we're going to head on to the rules, and in the orders collection, we're going to set it to read only. In this case, I'm going to set for this collection the write as false and the read as true. So anyone can read, no one can write. But you should add a bit more of security to this by verifying that only users can see their own orders, maybe. If you want a video explaining a bit more the Firestore rules, comment down below. I might do a video to go farther into this. Now we're gonna go to the Stripe dashboard, into developers, webhooks, and in here we're gonna add a new webhook endpoint. Now for the endpoint URL, you're gonna put in the Cloud Function URL, and you can get it by going onto the Firebase console. Then you click on Functions, and here you just copy the URL. We're now gonna paste it, and I'm gonna add a simple description about what this webhook does. Now for the events, there's a bunch to pick from. We're just gonna pick the one that says checkout.session.completed. Once we do this, we're gonna get the signing secret key, and we're gonna go ahead and copy it. Now onto the terminal, we're gonna set this variable by doing Firebase functions config set stripe.payments webhook secret equals, and then we just paste in the webhook secret key. Now as you can see, if we run Firebase functions config get, we can see there it is, payments webhook secret already registered. Now let's go ahead and deploy the new function, the updated function, and the variable we just set by doing Firebase deploy only functions. Finally, if we open the index.html file, we go onto the checkout session. I'm gonna fill in some random information just to test it out. And as you can see, it sends us to the success page. Now if we go to the Firestore database, we're gonna see a new order was created with all the information available coming from the Stripe webhook. Now that was it for this video. In my next video, we're gonna integrate this and the Stripe checkout session with a checkout cart we are gonna do in Vue.js. So stay tuned for that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.